She's a senior graduating with a degree in environmental ag. Enjoy.
Alright, welcome! You've actually caught me in the middle of my newest potion. It comes from the land of Fae, or as I call it, the land of the young. This is where the fairies live, and they actually never grow old. Now, they have harnessed the true power of the mushroom, and they love their mushrooms very dearly. Now, I am a witch, as you may be able to tell, but I will not turn into a cat or cast a spell on you. What I will do is I will teach you the magical and real benefits of the mushroom. Now, I get my history and my good looks from my love of the witchy arts, but I also have my love of mushrooms from my witchy arts as well. So maybe by the end of my lesson today, you might have a love and understanding of mushrooms as well. So, mushrooms live in a world hidden amongst the leaves of other living beings. But their ecological benefits, health benefits, as well as being a fun hunt make these fungi a wonder of their own. Now, witches and fairies aren't the only ones who have realized the potential that the mushroom holds. Now, in the world, fungi, or the mushroom, help the earth recycle, or like the earth recycles, and these help break down tough material. Can't even talk today. Goodness. So, these are the things that other living beings can't break down, such as chitin or keratin. Basically, like I said, they're the world's living recyclers. Humans have also found ways to use these in their diets as well. They found out the fairies' secret to their longevity by finding out their antioxidant selenium. Selenium actually helps prevent damage to tissues and cells, and they support the immune system. Also, vitamin D found in mushrooms help support damage or prevent damage to tissues and cells, and they support the immune system. So the unique fibers that are found in mushrooms, called the beta-glucans and chitin, actually help you feel fuller for longer and make you not as hungry. So dieters as well will use mushrooms and to help them lose weight. And chitins also, what I was talking about as mushrooms being the world's recyclers, they take this hard to break down material and use it in their bodies. So if you ever find a mushroom out in the wild, make sure you cook them to break down this chitin so you can eat it. So I've said mushroom and fungi kind of repeatedly in the same fashion, but does anybody know if mushrooms are a plant? Are they a plant? No, they're not a plant. They're a living organism, just like yeast and mold. So, if we didn't have mushrooms or yeast and mold, we wouldn't have beer or cheese or even bread. So, now that we know what mushrooms are, let's find different ways to identify them so we can find new mushrooms to use in our potions and our recipes.
Mom, what is that?
Yeah, what is that? What do you think we're looking at right here? Kind of looks like this right here, right? It's a hat, or what we call the cap. So this is the first part of what we're looking for when we are identifying mushrooms, or what the Romans called the pileus. So when we are looking at mushrooms, they have all different kinds of shapes and sizes. So it's always good to make sure what kind of cap you're looking for and the mushroom you're looking for. So as you can see, there's lots of different shapes. You can have long ones, you can have really wide ones, even ones that have little divots in it. Always make sure what kind of cap you're looking for in the mushroom you need. Now, what are those? Gills. Yeah, very good. So some mushrooms have gills, but not all mushrooms have gills.
Sure.
As you can see in this one, some have pores. Yeah, the pores, right? Good. Now, not all mushrooms have pores or gills. Some have teeth, so it's kind of spread out, or even false gills. So that's another thing you always want to make sure to look out for. What other Is there any kind of mystical beings anybody knows that have gills? Mermaids, yeah. Or other kind of maybe fish? Yeah, fish. Yeah. So these aren't to breathe. They're not going to help you breathe underwater if you're a mushroom. No, what gills do, or pores, or anything else like that, what they help is they store the spores or the little seeds that fungi have for reproduction. So the cap and the gills are just little reproduction storage areas. Now the next part is the stem. Like the cap and like the gills, these all have lots of different shapes and sizes. So it's always good to know what kind of stem you're looking for in the mushroom you need as well. And I also have lots of different kinds as well. Going back to this one, some don't even have a stem. Do you see that?
No. Are those oysters?
Are they oysters? Mr. Mushroom Man?
I don't know without knowing what they're growing on. Sorry, but
I guess they do look like
oysters grow up wood.
Mr. Blake right here is my Mushroom Man guide. He's a professional mushroom guide, so I have him help me a little bit along the way. Going back to the different shapes, so if they do have a stem, what the stem's purpose is basically to get the cap up into the air, so the spores have lots of ability to be able to get spread apart everywhere. So you can have it be really skinny, really fat, or like kind of zigzag around everywhere, making little tangles. Maybe there's got a witch's spell on there to go in circles. Lots of cool different reasons. But unlike plants, stems do not hold nutrients. Very important difference between mushrooms and plants. The last part to look for, or ways to identify mushrooms, are the spores. Now this isn't what a spore actually looks like, but this is to show the color of the spore. Now spores are itty bitty, tiny, tiny, tiny. You can't see them without a magnifying glass. But what you can do. You have a question?
I also know that there's some mushrooms that are like puffball kind of things. There's from like a whole bunch of dust, which is spores that come out.
Yeah, or if you like kick them, you push them. Yeah, very good. So one way you can do to be able to tell the color of the spore is you just put a glass over the top of it, and then you have it on like a sheet of paper or a tin foil, and then you wait for like overnight, because the air, if you have the glass over it, air currents are taken away, then you can have the color left over overnight. So it's very important to know the color of the mushroom spores, because every mushroom has a different color. And the spores are not like kind of babies, or what the spores actually are. They're kind of like seeds. So when a spore lands in a good spot, it'll start hyphing, and its little thread-like structure kind of pops out, and then that'll turn into the mycelium, which is the bigger thread-like structure underneath. And the mushroom part is kind of the top part after that. So that's what the fungi and the spore process is. Now that we know that the different parts, they're easier to identify. So does everybody want to learn a few different mushrooms that we can find in our backyard that we can use for either potions or recipes? Yeah? Sweet, okay. What's this first one? Anybody know? Morel. Very good. So pretty much everybody knows what this one is. It's everyone's favorite. There's probably about 20 plus different species in America. Or how many? Way up. How many are there? Hundreds. Sorry, there's hundreds of different species of morels in America. And you can tell what they are by their honeycomb / spongy features on their cap. And they're brown, obviously. You'll find them on the ground. And you'll find them in woody areas or apple orchards. So you could find them in Schmeeckle, but don't pick them here. Obviously, this is a reserve. But if you go over to like Casey's apple orchard, you might be able to find a good patch of morels there. Yeah. You'll find them on surface slopes. You might be able to find them under patches of poison ivy or under prickly ash. So if you do head up going under there, make sure you wear some gloves so you're safe. When you cut them and harvest them, make sure to cut them right at the base. And Does anybody know what you do after you cut them? Yes, you wash them, but you know why you do this?
You cut them.
Yes, you cut them. You got it?
Yeah, cut them.
You cut them in half. Now you do this because you see the one on the right?
Half, Mom.
You cut them in half. So you see the one on the right? It has a kind of a cottony texture on the inside. That's called a false morel. Those are inedible. So if you ever see a patch of morels and you see a cottony texture on the inside once you cut it open, do not eat those. Those are inedible. But real morels, they will not be cottony on the inside. They don't have gills, and they're pretty much good to eat from there. But you make sure to always cook your mushrooms before you eat them, because if they're not cooked, they are toxic. Oh, and they can also be found pretty much anywhere once you find a decent patch of land, like a forest or an apple orchard, for example. So like upland, lowland, mainly on surface slopes. But some species do like some substrates over others. So make sure you do your research if you're looking for a certain species. Many morel hunters also use phenology to find morels. Does anybody know what phenology means? It's a big word. So phenology means looking at the natural occurrences in nature. So basically morel hunters are into nature just like fairies and witches are. So they'll look for if oak leaves are as big as squirrel ears, or when mayapple leaves bloom, when lilacs are blooming. Those are all really good signals for when it's time for mushroom season. All right, let's move on to our next one. Anybody know what this is?
Chicken of the woods.
Yeah, chicken of the woods. But anybody know what its real name is?
Laetoporus sulphureus.
Yeah. Or the actual name, or the common name, because I can't say that, sulfur shell. So it gets its name sulfur shell because it grows kind of like a shell, but the color is like sulfur. And everybody gets the name chicken of the woods because of its texture when you cook it, because it kind of tastes a little bit like chicken. Has anybody ever used chicken of the woods and cooked it before? Yeah? Does it actually taste like chicken? A little bit? Yeah? Yeah, that's sweet. I've never tried it before, but I've always wanted to. Sweet. Yeah, so when you cut them, you always want to make sure to trim them on the outside or part of the area where it is young. So what I like to say is fairies actually also put a spell on these. The way you can check to see if they're young, if you press your finger on there, if your fingerprint stays, then that means it's young. If it's too old, then your fingerprint won't stay as you're trying to handle it. But you cut the newer portions and you leave the rest of the mycelium okay, and that's the way it'll keep growing for however long the nutrients are still there. They also they can span between 2 to 3 feet on the dead logs, so they can get pretty big. They also grow depending on rain, so you'll find them in areas with have bigger patches once a big rainfall has happened. And they fruit from spring to fall. Alright. Anybody know what this last one is?
Puffball.
It is the puffball. Very good. So this is the one that we like to kick sometimes. The spores go out kind of everywhere. But these guys are really nutritious. So they can actually get to be the size of a basketball and up to 45 pounds. So if you found a really big one, you can use these for a really big potion or a really big recipe and feed lots of people. So they're super cool. Now, if you ever want to harvest them, what you do is you make sure to cut them at base level because they only grow on the ground. They don't grow on anything else. And then you only harvest them if they are the color of a marshmallow, so perfectly white. And then if they also have the consistency, so like the thickness and the texture of a marshmallow as well. These guys are also, they are called gastromycetes. So that just means like a stomach mushroom or stomach pill. so their spores are on the inside. So this is one of those ones where they don't have gills, they don't have anything, because everything is on the inside. So that's why when you pick it, the spores go everywhere. It's kind of a cool little unique trick that they did. Maybe they had a spell to cast it on them too, or a curse. Alright. They also, they can be found pretty much in groupings. Sometimes they're found in groupings like this, or sometimes they'll be found scattered across by their cells. This is also a really good picture of what they look like on the inside. But where they're found everywhere, pretty much they can be found in orchards, meadows, pastures, woodlands, golf courses, and compost. So you probably could find the puffballs pretty much anywhere you like. They fruit during summer and fall, so kind of getting a little bit too cold for that now. Or you might be able to find a few straggling little mushrooms lagging around. Alright. Now, the puffball can be confused with a very poisonous mushroom, the amanita. So let's find some similarities between this one and other mushrooms that we can find dangerous or edible. So this is the easiest genus to identify and is avoided. So this is called the amanita. It contains some of the deadliest species, and it's also the most abundant and among the easiest to identify. And this also can be identified by 4 key characteristics. So let's start with the first one. This first one is this vulva right here. It's like an egg-shaped feature. And when it starts out, it kind of looks like a ping pong ball, just like the giant football. You see it there. And then as it matures, the vulva opens up, kind of like a potted plant or like a cup, and then the rest of the mushroom will come out from there. And then, so that's why you always want to make sure to carefully ID your mushrooms before picking them. So the next part is the umolus, which is this third part right here. So this is a flimsy membrane, and it actually covers the gills and protects them while the cap is not immature, so it's when it's young. And then as the cap matures, it'll open up, and the umolus will drop down. The next part, obviously, is the white gills. Now, white gills on its own is not a clear indication of either white spores or really just being deadly or poisonous at all. Do you have a question, bud? Are you just thinking? Okay. Yeah?
They also live on bedrock.
Yeah, they do. Oh, sweet. And then the last one is the white spores. Now remember how I was talking about doing checking the spore color? That's just all you gotta do is put it either on a black or white paper or on tin foil. Put a cup or a bowl on top of it, wait overnight, and then that's how you can check the spore color. As long as you have the cap of the cap down and the scales down. And this is a really cool picture of the amanita. This is one that's really easy to identify just because of the really pretty cool colors. And I have a really cool gift for you guys to see. So as it's growing, you can see the skirt pop down as the cap goes up.
Why are they like going like made like kind of like up like the one that's like bottom to the left? It's like peeling open or something.
Mushrooms just do weird stuff, I guess. Sometimes the caps just like go up like this. Yeah.
I just realized that.
Yeah. All right. Another way.
that goes up.
Yeah. Another way to always make sure that you have the right mushroom before you pick it is to check the couple key characteristics before picking. So the first room is just making sure the mushroom is in the correct season. Is it spring, fall, summer? Obviously not winter. It's pretty cold up here, right? Is it in the right place or the right habitat? Is it supposed to be upland, lowland, deciduous forest, coniferous forest? Is it in the right appearance? So does it have the right vulva, or does it have gills, teeth, pores? Does it have the right cap? Does it have the right gills, or does it have pores? And then does it have the right stem? Is the stem connected in the right place? And then Brent actually gave me Blake gave me a really good idea. He also made sure to taste and smell it too. Now, if you're not sure about taste, just make sure don't taste it at all and spit it out, or making sure the smell is correct if you are very keen on what your mushroom is supposed to smell like. So when in doubt, do not pick, don't eat it, or don't use it at all in your potions or your recipes. But if you're sure and your mushroom checks off on all your characteristics, then you should be good to go. Okay, so I know I did lots of talking and all of that, but are you guys ready to maybe look out in the real world and find some real world examples of mushrooms? Because I have a really cool activity in store for you afterwards. Sound good? Okay, make sure you get your jackets on because we are going to go outside.
Yeah, that one probably.
Okay, so mushrooms can be found in the world all around us. I want all you guys to look around, want to take a mushroom with you. Remember, you can pick it, but do not eat it, okay? What we are doing is we're trying to find real world examples, try to get good examples and ideas in our brains so we can create our own mushrooms inside. Sound good to everybody? We'll be outside for a few minutes and then maybe about 5-10 minutes and then we'll head back inside. If you need any questions or if you want to help identifying the mushroom, just ask me or Mr. Blake, the mushroom man.
Yeah,
over
right,
there.
right.
Alright? You found a log, down, tree, pretty much anywhere. Alright, let's go.
Boy.
No, you're fine.
I've had that where I like forget the rate of the book and then I actually didn't know. And then it sucks because you're like, what do you do? Then I have to rewrite the notes or something or staple it in my phone.
Yeah, I just ripped it out and stapled it in.
Chris Drake was cool. Should be that bad unless you told us.
Oh, isn't it just on my toes?
Yeah, you have to know the steps and stuff like that.
Oh, I thought I guess that's taking classes. Too. What he said is, like, what was that last like, and he said something about, like, the last name.
Alrighty, everyone. Just want to point down.
It's awesome when you guys get like the intro.
Alright, so did everyone find some cool examples of mushrooms?
Got a lot.
Awesome. I also have some cool mushrooms too. Okay, well, I know what some of these are.
I think I know what that one is.
What is it?
Is that like the one where like you can like you tap the spores out of it and then like you can like extract some like this stuff from it and then like you can turn it into like that thing where it's like lives forever or something like that.
We'll go with it. This one was the ochre, right?
I have 2 kids.
Like, this is ochre, right? This is the, I'm going over all my mushrooms today.
Chaga.
Chaga, sorry, chaga. This one's a working for everyone, right?
That is Ganoderma suge, or reishi. We have like 6 or 7 species that grow in Wisconsin.
This one I also saw a lot outside.
It's a tremites, not edible, they call it maizemeal.
Got lots of cool like these.
Ganoderma appelantum, that's in the same genus as the other reishi, also known as artist cotton.
This one?
It's a bad example, but that is Ganoderma. Oh, give me like 5 minutes. It's related to the rishis. Chlorophyllum melobdites. This is,
Also has an annulus.
yup, has a beautiful annulus. They call it the green spored vomiter. Give you a heavenly cleanse.
Anybody know what this is?
Morels.
Morel, very good.
And then is that like a peachy?
Yeah. What about this one?
Ooh, is that chicken?
Yeah. Good. Now what about this one?
Oh, wait, that was one part I saw. It was
This one's homemade, but it's Amanita. What about maybe?
Those are Amanita muscaria, variation muscaria. Around here, we actually have different variation. We have Amanita muscaria variation Gasawi, which are a little bit more yellow.
But does anybody know what this one is?
An M&M.
Yeah. It's another one. And I have also lots of other ones too.
Are those like models that you make?
Not ones I made, the ones I had helpers made. My little fairies. So basically, these are all mushrooms that you can also make, and they also have kind of the same texture that these real mushrooms have as well, because I put a spell on them and I've blessed this wonderful clay.
Wait, are you gonna be able to?
Yes, so I have all this clay for all of you guys to use. However, since I just realized I have a very full house, what I ask is that one per family, one little pouch per family, or maybe share amongst each others. I was actually able to use this, make this out of maybe half a package of each color.
Oh, I see that.
Yeah. So, help yourselves, ask around. I have toothpicks, because sometimes these are pretty hard to use.
Tables in there if you'd
Oh,
like.
there's also tables in there as well, because I know sometimes it's kind of hard to sit. And I also have some little handheld tools that will probably likely be in here, tables, that you can make maybe divots or gills or pretty much whatever you want to make with your real live mushroom. Just make sure they sit out overnight, otherwise the spell won't work. And then you'll have your own real life mushroom.
So like, will you come back here tomorrow to get them?
Nope, you get to take them home. If y'all want to come up one by one and get started, yeah. Remember, one
Okay, so how do you first I said 89.6%. It was 7 wrong, so I got 60 out of 70. And then 60 out of 70 was 8. I mean,
So like, so you're thinking it.
So I'll take the liver then.